To all you Blues fans, we're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!
BlueNote Fan Report. Aloha and mahalo. I am Guy, the White Blues fan, and this is your show. The show that is by a fan, for the fan, and about you, the fan. Yes, yes, yes. It is that time. We are a day away. 2 days away, really, or 1 day away, something like that. I guess you can say 2 days away, 1 day tomorrow. I am ready. No, I have not. I kind of keep away from some of those. Actually, I think one had us like not making the playoffs or something like that. Greg Rosinski has the Blues in 5th, not making the playoffs. I do know that. Not too terribly worried about it, to be honest with you. The reason I say that is every year this team, just outperforms the predictions. They beat you at your own game. And this is why this is a damn good team. And we talked yesterday. We were deep into this yesterday. And, yeah, okay, I did see that. That was, that was Greg Rosinski's. Yeah, I seen that. Thank you, Erickson. It's kind of for me. Look, you I get it. You do this for a living. You got that, but you constantly count a team out, and they outperform you at some point. Are you going to realize what they got? And in team sports, real team sports, the chemistry matters. Chemistry really, really matters. Right? Baseball, chemistry matters. That is, Josh, I don't get this, man. I don't get this. You know what? Why are you so worried about picking up somebody that not going to help you for 3-4 years down the road? Right? You have a chance. Your window's still open this year, Josh. The window is still open this year. I wish you would have watched the show yesterday, Josh. We got heavy and we covered each player, and we talked about each player in this team. And there's only a few players that have really big question marks on them. And when it comes down to it, the thing is, this is a good team that has great chemistry. Great chemistry already. They have great chemistry, and it's not. They haven't even put their foot on the ice yet. You know what? Every draft has one or two. That's about it. A lot of them will end up going to college. Look at the number 1 overall pick this year. He was considered to be NHL ready. He went to college. Right? Actually, no, the number 1 pick played this year. I think it was last year the number 1 pick went to college. And then went back to college this year. Owen Powers. Right? 2 years in college. He still hasn't been out there yet. I'm not worried about Bennington's consistency. I think that is being overplayed. Right? I really do. And I talked about it a lot yesterday. You don't play in effect what COVID did and some other things that happened out there. But when he was healthy, And not only that, 63 for 65. He made 63 saves out of 65 shots. 960 save percentage in the preseason. Yes, I get it, it's preseason, but still. That's telling you something, guys. 63 out of 65? Absolutely telling you something. Hey, Lance, man, how you doing, bud?
Not too bad, are you?
Not bad at all, man. We had a great show yesterday. I was really impressed with that show yesterday. I had a lot of fun doing that, bud.
Yeah, it was a good show. Looking ahead and things that we think players are going to do, and I think pretty much we've got confidence in most of the players. I said there was only 2 or 3 that here and there that Ashley didn't think we're going to do well, or I didn't think we're going to do well, and
yeah. Brian says all those saves coming off summer, and Bennington was 63 for 65 in the preseason. Yes, again, that's still a 960 save percentage, Lance.
Mm-hmm.
How many goalies out there in the preseason had a 960 save percentage? I don't think there's many. Okay, I don't think there's many at all.
Not this year's, but I've seen goalies in the preseason go without having a goal scored on them at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, and usually those are the goalies that the top end of their game, right?
I've seen a few guys that ended up back down in the AHL or were released because they just didn't have room for them. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. But this year, I think he's the only one with that high of a save percentage. I looked it up last night, and I think the closest was 940 something, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. He was just on, and when I watched him play, it didn't matter who he played. He was very square to the shooter. He was, and the one thing with Bennington that I think is underrated is his breakaway, his ability to stop a breakaway. He's one of the best in the business at that. Right? When there's a breakaway against Grice, I kind of figured it was going in the net. With Bennington, I never had that. I never felt like he was going to let it in the net. It was an automatic goal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I just felt like he was able to control that and take the angles away. And really, I thought Bennington just really is on there. And, I see that's not a true statement, Ryan. That's not a true statement. Okay? You look at 2018-19, right? 19 when he comes in January. He's actually brought up in December. He had that season. Then you look at 2019. He had the equal type of season. He still had 3 shutouts in the first part of the season when he only had 5. We had 5 in a half season, right? So he still had the 3 shutouts. He still was doing it. But then the bubble comes, the break comes, and he gets COVID, and it affected his game. And I think that it's affected it for a while now. And he got and then he comes back at the beginning of last season, and he had a really good start. He gets COVID, and then he has those issues again. But then he gets over the COVID, and you see what you saw in the playoffs, right? I really, really, really. I'm not on board with this.
I didn't see what Ryan said. First of all, what did you say? He
says Bennington has been on a constant decline for me.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Right. I'm not there. I'm not there. He's 28. He's 28. He's 28 or 29. He's still in that prime. Right? COVID's robbed him a little bit, but I think that like I said, I look at Bennington from the playoffs last year to right now, and I go, this guy's a Venza level goalie. This guy's going to pick up hardware. This guy's going to be in that talk. And he's got a team in front of him that has solid chemistry. And that I think in the NHL, that gets overlooked at how important that really, really is. How often do you see teams get broken up year after year? Look at Colorado. Look at all the guys they lost. They lost 7 guys. 6 guys, are gone from that team. They've got to change the chemistry. But here is a team that doesn't change its chemistry, lost one core player.
Well, you got a good example of teams that have won cups, multiple cups in the last 20 years. Chicago. Yeah, Chicago made some changes between cup runs, between cup wins, but they kept most of their guys, and they definitely kept their core each year, to win that. They brought a couple guys in. Pittsburgh kept their core all those years. They won those couple cups in a couple years, and they brought a couple guys in. You can't – it's hard to repeat when you replace 7-8 guys. It's really hard to repeat when you replace that many.
Well, you look at what Chicago did. So they won the cup in 10. Mm-hmm. They were in cap hell. They got rid of everybody. They dropped and then had to rebuild for 13. Took 2 years to get to 13. 13, they let people go down. And then in 15, they come back.
Yeah, but they kept most of their lineup. There wasn't a huge turnaround. It's not like they lost 7-8 players like Colorado did.
Was St. Louis a favorite the year after we won the cup? No, they weren't. I think they were third. I actually think Colorado was favored, or Tampa. Colorado and Tampa were actually favored ahead of them. Right? I remember that. No, St. Louis was not favored to win the cup. Everybody looked at them as a one-off. Right? A team that just caught lightning in the bottle, and I think they're more than that. I really do. I think they're more than that. And, I look at them now, and I go, okay, you look at last season and you go, oh, they were in third place. They were in third place with 109 points. How many seasons with 109 points won the season? You know what I mean? It was a weird season where at 109 points, you were in third, not winning your division. So, a team that can score 109 points, yeah, I think this team is still a 100-plus point team. I was looking at 105. 105 is where I had them last year, and they ended up on 109. I just think that this is a solid team that has chemistry, that can win games, and Bennington can steal you games. And they have young talent that's ready to explode. Right? 2 guys with new contracts coming up that want to prove themselves. And young guys, you got Neighbors. Neighbors really wants to prove himself. Maybe I still think that Neighbors is a dark horse for the Calder. I really think that this team is a dark horse, and too many people aren't looking at them that way. You with me, or you lose you?
No, I'm with you. This team on paper should be very good, and that's what gets me about everybody else dismissing them and putting them at the 12th or 13th odds, or people like Greg saying that they're not even going to make the playoffs. I mean, that's a huge drop from 105 points down to maybe 70 points, 80 points. I just don't see it, and I don't understand why people are picking them that way. But like you said, they've got to play the games. On paper, they should be very good. Now, will they be good? I think they will. Will I be shocked if they're bad? I'll be very, very shocked if they're bad.
Yeah. Chris Shockey says the Avs point difference was their OT wins and our OT losses. They weren't that ahead of us in points differential.
No,
or in goal differential. Right? No, the Avs point difference was their OT wins and our OT losses.
Yep.
A little more than that, but
that was part of it.
That was part of it. That did have something to do with it, right? That did have something to do with it. Not a lot, but it did. There was it was a big part. There was still some games that the Blues should have won that they lost, and things like that down the stretch. That last week, that they kind of shit the bed at the end of the week, at the end of the season, and that hurt a little bit. Is the Central that difficult, or was it that we think it's because the Blues are in the Central? Actually, see, I think that right now, I think that a lot of people look at the Central as this really stacked division, and I don't think it's it's nowhere near as stacked as it was last year, right? And everyone's like Minnesota. Minnesota's getting destroyed by the Rangers right now.
Everybody is picking.
3-1.
Everybody
It was
is picking
3-0.
Minnesota Nashville and the Avalanche to definitely be ahead of the Blues. And there's even some people picking Dallas and Winnipeg to be ahead of the Blues. And to me, that's crazy. Winnipeg is so dysfunctional. That locker room is the worst in the league. It's not been fixed. They brought in the wrong coach to fix it. And I don't see them being any better. And I think Dallas is going to be good, but I don't see them being better than they were last year. I think Nashville might be a little bit better than they were last year, but I don't think the Avalanche are as good as they were last year.
No, I don't think the Avalanche are as good as they were last year. I do think the Predators got a little bit better. Yeah, but remember, they got destroyed by the Avalanche last year. I mean, just destroyed. They had injury problems left, right, and center. They could have a good season. I get that. But I don't see the Blues being the 4th or 5th worst team in this division. Right? And again, I keep coming back to the fact that it's the same team. It's the same team that scored 109 points last year. That you can't not look at that. You have $50 left in your wallet. You go to the casino and have to bet like horses, win, place, and show. What's your bet? Ooh. Is that for the Central Division, John? Is that what you're asking? Right? Let me know that. If you're asking that.
Can I say something real quick that has nothing to do with hockey?
Yeah.
Major League Baseball should be ashamed of themselves. They should be ashamed. These teams are partnering with gambling entities like the Reds and other teams are becoming their partners, and then they say Pete Rose can't be in the Hall of Fame. It is shameful. Do I like Pete Rose as a person? No, I don't. As a baseball player, he was a damn good baseball player, and for them to do this and all of a sudden get in bed with all these betting entities, there's no excuse for them not to let Pete Rose in. I'm done with my baseball rant.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I am with you on that. So John's talking win, place, and show in the Central Division. I'll let you go with this, Lance. $50. So you got to do win, place, and show. You got to do, say, 20, 25, 20, 20. Right? That's your bet. Win, place, and show. How are you doing it?
I still say the Blues are a good team, and I'm not being a homer about it because we all know last year when they were struggling at the beginning of the year somewhat, I was on to them. I said, they're not playing good enough to win a cup and go far in the playoffs. I would do, and people are going to think I'm nuts. I would do Blues, Nashville, and Colorado, or Blues, Colorado, and Nashville. That's what I would do. And I hate to put Nashville up there. Trust me. I've been there, and it's a terrible place as a visiting fan to go to a game. But I just see them. They're better than people think. Some people think they're going to be. Yeah. But I'm not sold on Colorado winning this division. I'm just not.
It's like 30 years from now, MLB has PED companies as a sponsor, and Bonds isn't. Yeah. And X aren't in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I get that. Blues aren't winning the division. I get we won't.
Yeah, we're probably going to see. Come see the Reds play in Growth Hormone Park.
Yeah, but we aren't there yet. We are a few years away. I disagree, Josh. I so disagree with you. I don't see how you can be so negative, right? And here's the thing, Josh. No, Josh, I want to ask you this. I keep hearing how negative you are, but you never brought to me. You know what, Josh? Are you on Facebook? Tomorrow night is the day before the season. I want to offer you the chance to come on the show. But to do that, I need you to message me on Facebook so I know who you are. And I'd like to really give you a chance to come on and explain your thought process. I'm going to open that up to you. And I've actually thought about not doing this anymore, not letting people that I don't know on the show anymore. But, you're so negative. I want to give you that chance because I don't know what you're seeing. And you really haven't told me anything. You haven't backed it up. And that's what I'm trying to get at.
Hey, and you know what, Josh? I'm going to tell you one thing. If Guy thinks you're really negative when he's had to deal with me in the past, he must really think you're negative. But seriously, Josh, tell us why. Tell us why 2 or 3 years down the road, because their young guys are there now. They've got 2 young guys that have played in the league for several years now. They've got a good veteran presence. They've got a good, decently aged defense. I don't know why you would say 2-3 years from now. Please tell us why.
I'm not a negative fan. I'm not. You think we are a contender? We aren't. I'd rather us just stop thinking we are. There's only 4 teams I can see winning the cup, and we aren't in that top 4. In 2019, were the Blues in the top 4 to win the cup? They weren't. Okay? They were in last place in points. You know, I still don't agree with that narrative, but they were in last place in points on January 2nd. They missed winning the division by a point. They still weren't considered, right? Winnipeg was favored in the first round to win in 5.
Yep.
Right? Dallas was favored in the second round to win in 6. And we were the home team.
Mm-hmm.
The Blues were not favored. Well, actually, they were favored in the Western Conference. They were favored in the Western Conference. I will say that. They were favored to win in 7. They weren't favored in the finals.
No, they weren't. Not the media and the betting places never really put them up there until game 5 or 6. But going into game 7, everybody said Boston's got home ice. They're going to win it. They're going to close this out. Nobody gave the Blues a chance, and Bennington stood on his head, and O'Reilly played great.
Former Cards, Danny Cox tells Nashville fans St. Louis is why they still have a team. Blues fans filled that place in the early years.
Good one, Danny Cox.
Yeah. Why do you all think, what did you all think of Benner in the preseason? I seen flashes of 2019. If Benner's on, this team can beat anyone. Mary, we've already talked about it. He was 63 for 65. Right?
Danny, I'm gonna sound a little nuts here, but guys talked about it, how sometimes Bennington flops a little bit and is just all over the ice. I'd like him to do that to an extent, but when he's bad, he's out of control a lot. He's not in the right position. He's not come out to challenge the shooter, or he's not went back into the crease enough. And I saw last year towards the end, when he started really getting his rhythm and feeling better, he was the Bennington that could improvise, not like a Dominic Hasek, because there's not very many people like that, but he can improvise, but he was also very sound mechanically. And I know I've heard people say, and I've even heard goalie coaches say he's not sound mechanically. Well, he is sound mechanically when he's on his game. And he can flop and he can improvise a little bit, but he's sound mechanically. When he starts flopping too much, then is when he runs into trouble. I think Guy will agree with me on that one.
Okay, I want to bring something up here, right? He's talking about our draft, right?
Yep.
And Josh says, unless other teams get huge injuries, we aren't going to get to the conference finals, which I still believe we can. Why would you want us to be a bubble second-round team when we could build draft picks and let our young guys get going? Well, I want to bring something up, Josh, right? St. Louis picks playing for the team right now. What's the highest draft pick we have playing on the team right now that was a St. Louis pick? Not a team not somebody that another team picked, but that St. Louis picked. And I'm looking at it, and I think the highest St. Louis pick that we have playing on the team right now is Tarasenko, who was the 16th pick.
Yep.
Right? 16th pick. That's the highest pick that we have from a St. Louis pick.
Isn't Kyrou next at 31st?
No, actually, it's Thomas at 20.
Thomas, yep. At
Right?
26.
I thought Kyrou was a second round guy.
He is.
Right? I thought Kyrou was a 35th, was a second round guy.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So really, when you say that, we're never, we haven't picked that high since the early 2000s, 2010 maybe, right? 2011, 2012. Since then, we've always been in the 20s and still been one of the highest picking teams. Neighbors was
and
Neighbors was the 25th overall pick.
Josh, I want to say one thing before Guy goes on here. Go back over the last 10 years, and I want you to look at the top 10 picks, especially picks 3 through 10. Tell me in the last 10 years how many great players have come out of picks 3 through 10, and also look at how many players never made it big in the NHL, and some of them never even made it in the NHL. Top picks mean squat. I can tell you, ask any general manager, a top pick is great, but that means you're a bad team if you get one of the top 5 picks. Yeah. If you're getting picks in the 20s, in the last pick or the first round, you've been drafting well. You find a lot more good players from pick 15 to pick 70 than you will between pick 1 through 14. I guarantee you there's more guys in the league in those picks I just said, 15 to 70, than there is 1 through 14.
Okay, Cale Makar was a number 4 pick. Great.
Yeah, great.
But he says here, that's my point. If we got a top 15 pick and trade, that's my point. If we got a top 15 pick and trade ORR for a first, we can move into the top 10 to 7. That's a game changer. Well, first of all, you'd have to trade ROR long before that because he'd already be a free agent.
Yeah.
So you're not changing him. So the only way, so that doesn't work.
And can I say something real quick? Do you remember Dominic Bach, the guy they traded with Edmondson to Carolina? Dominic Bach, a month before the draft, was considered a top 8 pick. He didn't interview well. Some people said he was lazy. And he dropped to the Blues. And let's say he hadn't dropped to the Blues. He would have been a low pick that wouldn't have worked out. I mean, then what does that get you? We don't need top 5, top 10 picks. They don't always pan out. Right. A lot of times guys like that, they've got natural ability. And they don't, and I'm not saying they don't work hard because a lot of them do, but a lot of these guys in the 2nd to 3rd round, they've gotten to where they're at in college or the juniors because of how hard they work, not just skill. And, tanking, I'm going to tell you right now, everybody says Chicago's going to get Bednar in 2 years. They're going to be a cup contender. No, they won't be. It's going to take them 3 to 5 years to be a cup contender. Do you want to go that way with the Blues?
Yeah. I thought I was able to pull this up. I
appreciate your opinion, Josh. This guy and I think you're wrong.
Yeah, oh no, your opinion's fine.
Yeah,
right. We want your opinion. That's why I'm inviting you to come on this table. I'm trying to see if I could pull up everybody. I was looking at the 2018-19 Blues, right?
Yep.
And I was trying to see if we had a really, really high draft pick on that.
No, we didn't.
And the only one I can think of is Pietrangelo. I want to say he was a 4th overall pick.
When?
Let me look.
Oh no, I know when. Yeah. He was a top 10 pick. I thought you meant that we had a top 10 pick that year is what I thought you meant.
No. I mean where he was picked at. Here we go. He was 4th overall.
Enough.
He was 4th overall.
Yeah.
That was the only super high pick we had on that team.
Yeah.
I think Tarasenko and Schwartz in the same draft class, or Tarasenko and Steen. Tarasenko and Steen were drafted almost one behind the other, weren't they?
Well, Steen was in Toronto. He was drafted by Toronto.
Okay, well then it was Schwartz.
Yeah, those guys that were drafted the same year, they were 1 year apart.
Okay, Schwartz was a 14th overall pick.
Yep.
In 2010, and I think Tarasenko was the 12th or 13th overall pick.
Yep, he was 12th or 13th. You're right.
I'm double checking. I'm looking now. Tarasenko was the 16th overall pick.
16th. Okay, that's it.
So they were 3 off, right? Hockey Bob. I haven't seen Hockey Bob for a while.
Bob.
Right? Yeah, I see. And you know what, Bob? I'm with you there, bud. Josh says, let me ask you a question. Why is everyone picks Carolina or the Rangers to be in the finals? Look at Rangers in Colorado and compare them to us and see how far off we are. I don't think we're as far off as everybody thinks we are. That's the thing. Look at how tough we played Colorado in the playoffs.
And Guy, this team, and you cannot say this about a lot of teams in this league. You probably say it about 8 to 10 teams. When they are on and they play their game, they can and will beat anybody. Not every team in the league is that way. The Blues are that way.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Josh, I want to. So I'm offering you to come on the show tomorrow. Can you come on the show tomorrow? Right? And I need to know if you can.
Yeah.
Right? And I need to know if you have Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on.
Right? And you got to be on video, though. I'm not going to have somebody come on without video. I'm not going to have that ever happen again.
We learned our lesson.
Yeah. I've been screwed over once, and that will never happen again. Right? Ryan says, how many players picked 1 through 15 during Tarasenko's draft are still playing in the league? That's a great question.
That was my point. That's exactly my point, Ryan.
Great question.
Exactly my point.
Okay, Josh, friend me on Facebook, Guy Bensing. Search me and friend me. You'll see my picture. I'm in my blue suit.
Yeah, right? I'm going to tell you a guy in the low rounds that turned out to be a great player, Jason Spezza.
Yeah.
A very, very good first line, second line player for most of his career. And he was drafted
here you go.
Really,
you ready?
Really low.
This is the 2010 draft.
Yep.
Okay, at the top, it did really well. I will say that.
Yeah.
Taylor Hall. Tyler Seguin. Now this name I don't know. Eric Guberson?
Yep.
Guberson? Right? Does that name ring a bell to you?
Yep.
I don't know how well he did in the league. He doesn't sound, he's played 642 games, got 27 goals and
decent. He's just a guy.
94 points.
Just a guy.
Third overall pick. That's not great.
Yeah, he's just a guy.
Brian Johansson. Nito Niederreiter.
Right?
Okay, Niederreiter still. Brett Conley. I don't think he's still in the league.
No, he's not.
Jeff Skinner. Conley played 500 games.
Yep.
Skinner played 853 games. Alexander Bernistov played 348 games. Mikhail Gurulon played 673 games, had 445 points.
Yeah,
Dylan McDath had 66 games in the league. 10th overall pick. Jack Campbell.
Guy, your point is also some of these guys were good players, but they weren't what you thought they would be being picked so high.
Yeah, no. Right? Of the top 10, 3 are stars.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Go to 11, you got Jack Campbell there with the Dallas Stars. Then you get to the Ducks with Cam Fowler. Brandon Gromley, 58 games in the league.
Fowler was a good player.
Right? Jaden Schwartz.
Good. Not great.
Fowler 812 games.
Yep. Fowler was a good player, but not great.
Borbot. So Schwartz was the 14th overall pick. Tarasenko was the 16th overall pick.
Yeah, the Blues had 2 picks right next to each other.
Yeah, so when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at this and thinking that and then let's look down in the 20 range, right? Where we normally draft. Few of these, Kuznetsov, right? The Caps got him in the 26th overall pick. He's got 600 games. Kevin Hayes, 553 games, 332 points. So there's guys on here. Detroit Red Wings at 21, Ryan Shearhan's 194 points in 635 games, So there's guys in that low round that you're going to get that are going to help your team. Right? Sorry about that. I mean, we were going to go over situational stuff today. Okay, no problem, man. I'll see you when you get back. Yep. So, just a moment here. Never trust so-called experts on their analysis. They are wrong way more than they are correct. I'm with you there, Hockey Bob. There's a media bias towards St. Louis for whatever reason, mostly jealousy because they never played here. Possible. Of course, Lance. Name is Jason. Ryan Green says you're saying the third pick wrong. I'm not sure what you mean there, Ryan. I think I'm missing. Can we compare Tyler Hall to Tarasenko's career stats? I want to see if it's similar or not. Maybe show us. It's not always been okay. That's not bad. So Tyler Hall has played 762 games. Sorry, I have trouble. He's got 249 goals, 489 assists, or 409 assists for 658 points. He's a minus 36. Tarasenko has played 606 games. He's got 252 goals, 272 assists for 524 points. Plus 75 with 177 penalty minutes. Right? So Hall's numbers are better, but not by a ton. Right? But Hall did play on bad teams too, but so did Tarasenko for a while. So, Tarasenko is almost the same value as Hall is in my eyes. Right? That's the way I look at it. Except for Lemieux, Crosby, and Gretzky type young players, his draft is a crapshoot. Good point. I'm going to miss games purposely that Ben, Marchant, Kadri, Stone are in, so I'm not wanting the boys to get to put players into the stands. Well, Marchant won't be in for a while. We may not see Marchant this way. The Blues are disregarded for almost everything. I agree with that. I can't remember Tarasenko taking a penalty. Oh, he's taken penalties. He has. I mean, he's had a couple fighting. He's had a couple Gordie Howe hat tricks, right? Tarasenko can be feisty, and he's gotten in there. I've seen him do it. He's also been a Lady Byng nominee. So, Tarasenko's one of the better, is a great player. I'm with that. Right? I think he's got a little bit of a temper, but that's good for a hockey player. By comparison, 28 teams passed on, who is that? Mahomes. Oh, yeah. And I heard he's doing pretty good. Yeah.
Well, look at how many teams passed on Jason Spezza, and he's had a nice long career.
Right. Well, you want to really get at it? Look how many teams passed on Marchand multiple times.
Yeah.
I know he's a dirty player, but he's still a good. He's got the numbers.
He's got talent.
Third round pick.
Yeah, he's got talent.
Right. Brett Hull was a 6th round pick.
Yep. They said he was too slow and couldn't control his weight.
Right. Excuse me. So let's get into that situational talk I was going to get at. We'll cover Blues situations, right? 5-on-5, 4-on-4, 3-on-3, power play, penalty kill, shootout, offense and defense, right? Overall. So let's start 5-on-5. Where do you rank the Blues 5-on-5 scale of 1 to 10?
I'm going to give them a 7.5 to 8, somewhere in that range.
Why? I mean, don't just say the number. Tell us why.
Oh, why? Because I think at times they can be very good at 5-on-5. Because they've got the talent there, but they're one of those teams that has enough skill that if they get a little bit more ice, like a 4-on-4 or in the overtime 3-on-3, you really see that skill. I like I said, I would give them an 8 at that, especially when they're on their game and they're playing that system. They're very good. There's very few teams I'll give a 9 or 10 to, so an 8 for the Blues is pretty good for me.
Yeah, well, see, I'm not as high in them as you are because in the preseason, 5-on-5 is where they suffered the most, right?
Yeah.
And it was an issue last year. Not a horrible issue, but it was an issue. They were a plus team 5-on-5, but it needs to be better. They need to be better 5-on-5. Right now, I think they're a 6.5 to a 7. One of the things that hurts them 5-on-5 is speed. They may have gotten a little bit better speed with Kyrou and Neighbors and Thomas and that may help. But until the area that they need to focus on the most is the neutral zone and the cycle. The Blues are a amazing cycle team, and I saw it a couple times in the preseason. They got the puck. They had the puck. I think it was against Dallas in that first game. They had the puck in Dallas zone on a cycle for almost 3 minutes before Dallas caused a penalty. Right? That's special. That's special. And if you can do that, if you can keep teams on the cycle, or get on the cycle and keep teams hemmed in, you're going to have a good season. Wow, Minnesota. Oh no, it's 4-1. I thought it was 4-4 there for a second. Rangers are up on Minnesota 4-1. So let's go 4-on-4. We'll go down it. Where do you put the Blues 4-on-4?
8.5. 8.5 because of their speed and because they've got very smart players. They've got guys that have great vision. And, when you've got that 4-on-4 and you got a little bit more open ice, those talented guys have got more room to move. And the Blues, like you and I said last night, I'll take the top 3 lines against anybody in the league.
I'm not as high on this. I think 4-on-4, they could be better. I'm again with the 4-on-4. I think that they don't have the speed. And that's what hurts them. Speedy teams will hurt them.
Yeah,
and 4-on-4, their numbers 4-on-4, actually I think is a negative, or was a negative last year. I don't have the full stats in front of me, but I would love to see the Blues really get a better understanding of 4-on-4 and get a little bit, spread that out and use that speed. For me, 4-on-4, I think they're a 5.5. Right, I am not high on their 4-on-4 at all, and that goes into 3-on-3, and I'm the same. I'm actually 3-on-3. I give them a 3 because last year, look at all the overtime losses. They got destroyed 3-on-3. They absolutely got destroyed 3-on-3, and that has got to change. You have got to make sure that your faster
and one
guys
of the
are out
reasons
there.
is a lot of times the other team, of course, is going to put their fastest 3 guys out there.
Yep.
And Berube didn't do that a lot of times. So, he'd have Kyrou on there with 2 slower guys, and Kyrou would be starting to cross the blue line, and the other guys are too far behind him. So, yeah, I agree with you. I would say it's a 4, definitely on 3-on-3. And one thing you didn't talk about was 5-on-4 on the penalty.
Oh, we're not there yet.
All right.
We're not there yet. We're getting there. All right. We're going to now, so 3-on-3. Now we'll go to the power play. 5-on-4, 5-on-3. Where are you at on the Blues on power play? I know where I am. My number's set.
Because of their cycle and how good they can move the puck, I give them a 9.
Oh, see, you're being me. I give them a 10. I think they're one of the best power play teams in the league, right? Well, and they were 27. They had a record high last year, 27.2%. This year in the preseason, they were 27%, right there, and that's without Perron. They're going to figure out how to get things out there and around. Jeff Horseman says start every 3-on-3 with Kyrou, Thomas, Kruger, Falk. And I agree with that. I'd like to see that. I really would. Right? Chris Saki says 9 on power play. I'll give him a 9.5. I'll drop down. But I think power play, you're looking at 2 power play units that match up with anybody in the league.
Yeah.
Right? They match up with anybody in the league. And, they were 2nd overall last year.
Yeah. And guys,
2nd overall.
Their second power play line is better than a lot of teams' first power play line.
Absolutely. So, this is, I think that special teams are the thing that can carry the Blues. First of all, they're a disciplined team. They were a positive in penalties. They got more penalties than they took. Right? So when you're a positive team on penalties, then at this point, you're going to really change the style of the game And if you can get on the power play early and get a goal early, it really changes the effect of the game, right? And that's where.
Sorry, I keep hearing noises down from my hotel room. I'm in Portland, Maine, doing some stuff here, and I keep hearing it sounds like somebody's fighting, but it was just some drunk people walking down the street.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I seen that. I wasn't sure if that was you in Portland, Maine, or somebody, the person.
No, that's me.
Were you in Portland yesterday?
Yeah, I've been in Portland all week.
You didn't say anything, man.
I did online.
Oh, well, but I didn't catch it. So,
yeah.
Oh, by the way, thanks for the Twitter call out. I appreciated that.
No problem. It was a great show.
Chris Yockey wants some lobster, bud.
I have had some great lobster rolls. I posted some pictures of them, and I'm the type of guy that you put lobster in front of me. If it's in front of me, I'll eat it every day. I don't get sick of it.
Shockey says, I like Colton 3-on-3. He seems to be able to get coast to coast pretty good on it. If his back is okay, if he's still suffering from injuries, I don't want him 3-on-3 at all. Yeah. All right. I do not want him 3-on-3 at all. So power play, that's where I think the Blues are really gonna shine this year. Yeah. So now let's get into penalty killing. Where are you at on penalty killing?
Penalty kill, I give him an 8.5. And it's like I said, I don't give anybody a 10. So for me, an 8.5 is pretty dang good. I think it's because of the way they cycle the puck. They are so good at it. I don't think there's maybe one or two teams that may be as good or better, but I really can't think of any. When they are on their game and they're cycling that puck, they are so hard to defend on that.
They play between a diamond and a square, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yes, I know it's the same geometric shape, but they rotate it, right? They go from the two guys here to where they have the guy on the sides and then the two here, right? And that forces the play to the outside, and it also helps keep that guy out of the center. So as the guy comes into the center, they're adjusting to that to kind of cover that area up. They have the right guys. Now, Scandella being out does bring them down a little bit.
It does, yeah.
I will say that. He is a very good penalty killer.
He is.
However, I like Neighbors on the penalty kill. And I think Neighbors has the ability to get some shorthanded goals. And
he does. From watching him, throughout his career over the last 4 or 5 years, he's got that knack to come up with a puck and knock it out of somebody's stick or he's so smart. He's a guy that knows where the puck is a lot. And guys his age, a lot of times that's hard to do. You can't teach that.
Yeah,
he has
20 years old. 20 years old, 9 games in the league. He's that's the only pro hockey experience he's got. He was in juniors last year.
Yep.
Then he got injured. But this guy is still there. He's still there. He's on the penalty kill this year. He was very, very on the preseason, very, very good. Right. And if he keeps on that, and McTavish seems to have figured out and got these guys going. Craig McTavish was a penalty kill guy. So, the adjustments they've made seem to be working. I put them probably right at a 9. And a lot of times you see penalty kill and power play from one year to the next go like this.
Yeah, you
right?
do. Yep.
And usually when you see that, you see it in the preseason too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You see the team that was really good on the power play last year in the preseason be really bad on it. And same with the penalty kill, or vice versa. A team that was really bad on it's really good in the preseason the next year. But here you have the Blues really good on the power play and the penalty kill last year, being really good on the penalty kill and the power play this year. Well, in the preseason, they've maintained that. And this is where I come up with and say that chemistry is so important to a team. And because they have this chemistry, it's going to make them a much better team than people are giving them the credit for.
Yeah, from my experience, the guys that were on my teams from year to year, even as a goalie, I knew what to expect from them. I knew where they were going to be on the ice, and they knew what I was going to do with the puck if I went behind the net to get it or the side of the net to get it. you can't say enough about chemistry. And, you'll hear some people say, oh, we can just throw this guy on this line and he'll do well. No, that might happen eventually, but the more a line plays together, the better they will be, whether it's 5-on-5, whether it's the number one penalty kill, the number two penalty kill, number one power play, number two power play. The more familiar they are, they're going to know where those guys are going to be. And Thomas is just awesome on the power play. He knows where those guys are going to be, and he's just got such great vision.
Right. I think that they should. There's one thing that I'd like to see Berube try on the power play, and maybe try it in a game where you're, a blowout game when you get a late power play. Put Parayko on the power play as a forward, not as a defenseman. Right, not the guy, the quarterback of the puck, but let him get in that high slot and take that slap shot in there and see what it opens up. Right. I told everyone Bowen Byron might be a Norris candidate this year, if not this year, definitely next year. Maybe, I don't know, man. You're on his jock, and that's great. But, there's a lot of guys that have scored a goal in their first or second game of the season and not scored another goal all season. Right? I mean, it happens.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to tell you one thing. You're like me, guy. Yeah, offense does matter with the Norris. But to me, let's get back to the guy that was the best defenseman. Because that's what the award is supposed to be. It's great, that these guys can score 12, 15, 18 goals as defensemen and have 40, 50 assists. But to me, a Norris is because of their defensive play. And I know it's never going to be that way, but I wish it was.
Yeah, well, not Gordie Howe.
Bobby Orr.
Bobby Orr changed that.
He changed it big time.
Yeah, he changed that. He showed that a defenseman could score, and he had a knack for it, but he was a good defender. Defense was different then, right? Very good. But he could get in the play, and that worked. Except in the Army, steak and lobster is never a good. Same in the Navy, Chris. Same in the Navy, right? There was one day you always knew you were going to get steak and lobster, and that was the halfway day.
Halfway.
So when you're on a deployment, on a 6-month deployment at the 90-day mark, you would usually have steak and lobster, and guys were usually counting on that because if we hit that 90-day mark and there wasn't steak and lobster, we knew we weren't coming home the day we were supposed to. Right? Yeah,
that's great.
Right. So one of the ships I was on, we hit the 90-day mark and didn't get steak and lobster, and we actually didn't get steak and lobster till like the 120-day mark.
Wow!
Like just before we were supposed to come home, right?
Wow!
120. Yeah, no. So we're thinking, we're going to get extended, and we didn't. Turns out our supply officer stole the steaks and sold them on the black market. Yeah, that was.
I bet there were some unhappy crewmen there.
Huh?
I bet there were some unhappy crewmen there.
I won't talk about that ship. That was my last ship. It was one of the worst experiences I ever had in the Navy.
You'll have to tell. You have to tell me about it privately.
Yeah, it was first time. Now look, I know a lot of times the food in the Navy is not the greatest, right? But I never, for the most part, never left the galley hungry.
It wasn't the ship you're talking about. It wasn't the one you were on in Japan, was it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, one of them.
One of them. Okay.
One of them. My last one. Yeah. But this last ship that I was on, the first meal I had on there, I was just like, I was flabbergasted. I'd been in the Navy almost 15 years at this point, right? Yeah. And I walked away from that galley hungry. I was still hungry after eating my meal. And I never did that before. I never
because I've seen specials, like these professional cooks go in and cook on a Navy ship for 3 days.
Yeah.
And every one of those I've seen, which I've seen at least 20 of them.
Yeah.
Those guys load those plates up for those guys for breakfast.
Yeah,
that's
lunch, just for the TV. That's just for the TV.
That's
just for the TV.
Is it?
Yeah. No, the portions are usually small. The ship I was on wouldn't let you have seconds either.
Well, you know what, Guy? It's because they want you to be able to fit through the ship.
No, it wasn't that. You know,
I know. I'm just kidding.
yeah, but yeah,
That's
it was
great.
a different time.
Yep.
So now let's move on. Let's move on to we'll go to goaltending. Goaltending, right? What is your thought process on goaltending?
I expect a great year from Jordan Bennington, and I give it a 9 because I think he's going to have a great year. I'll be shocked if Jordan Bennington does not have a good year. The only thing that may hurt him is if he gets an injury, and I hope he doesn't. And I think our backup, Grice, is a 7. You know, he's not the best backup, but people are selling this guy short. I've watched him for a long time, and we all know Berube puts a big price on defense. And if the Blues play their game and play defense, Thomas Greiss may have a bad game. Every goalie has a bad game. And he may go through a slump where he plays bad in 2-3 games. But overall, he's going to be what the Blues need as a backup in Jordan Bennington.
Your name's showing, Jason. I see it there, bud. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm going to go an 8 just because there is a little bit of a question mark with Greiss, but not a lot. Yeah. I trust him more than I trusted Husso at the beginning of last season.
Well, I guess mine's an 8 too, because I gave Bennington a 9 and him a 7. Mm-hmm. So I guess we agree. Ours is an 8.
Yeah, I see them being a good team. I see them having great goaltending, right? We'll go next. We'll talk about the offense. Where do you see the offense?
I'm going to give it, and I know people are going to hate me and think I'm a homer, but I'm going to say 8.5 because this, you know, people think this is just a defensive team, but this team has a lot of guys that can score goals, even without Mr. Perfect, I guess Blues fans think, David Perron. This team has a lot of guys in those top 3 lines that can put the puck on the net and score goals. So I don't think they're going to have any problem scoring goals.
I'm with you. I see this, first of all, in hockey, probably more than any other sport. I mean, basketball somewhat. Your offense and defense are very, very well tied together. Yeah. Right? Yep. They're extremely tied together. One plays off the other very, very much. Yep. If you have a good offensive game, there's a pretty good chance you're going to have a good defensive game. If you have a bad defensive game, there's a pretty good chance you're going to have a bad offensive game. And it goes hand in hand. Now, this offense was the 7th best offense in the league last year, right? It was
6th or 7th, yeah.
No, actually, it might have been 5th. It was 5th. 5th in the league and 11th in defense.
I thought it was 6th and 11.
No, I think it was 5th. I think I remember seeing it 5th now. But they were a very, very strong offensive team, and they showed it in the preseason. Mm-hmm. Right? Every win, 4 goals or more.
Yep.
Every win, 4 goals or more. And I see that continuing. And I think this is I'm going to go 7.5 to 8 because I think this is a team that can keep doing that. Right?
Yeah. And if you remember last year, Guy, everybody said our defense was hurting. And at times our offense was hurting because it was feast or famine with them. And like that stat you brought up, in games with goals are scored 3 or less, we didn't have a great record, but these players have grown.
9-17 and 11.
Yeah.
Or 9-17 and 10.
Yep. These young guys have grown. I could see it in the preseason, and yes, it's the preseason. But I think this team's going to be better offensively.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think we're going to have the 8. I think we'll have, I say 6 to 8 20-goal scorers. I think that this team's still set for that. I really do.
If we don't have at least 6, Guy, I'll be shocked.
Yeah. Okay, defense. The last one of the day. Well, defense, and then we'll talk coaching. Defense, where you put it?
I put it at another 8 because it's like now when they're not on their game, it shows up pretty bad. But when this defense sticks to Berube's system and they're where they're supposed to be, they know their assignments and they carry out their assignments. It's one of the best defenses in the league in my mind.
For me, I'm going to go a little less than that. I'm going to say a 7. And my issue with the defense is it's so relegated or so off of the offense.
Yep.
Right? because, and I've said this before, in hockey, your best defense is a great offense. When you have a great offense, when you're keeping the puck in the zone and firing shots and keeping them playing defense and not getting back on the puck, it changes your game. You get an early lead, it changes how the other team has to play. And you get up 2-3 goals, you absolutely change how that game plays, and that's what the Blues can do. Unfortunately, their defense doesn't bring you to that. Sometimes they don't help that offense out by because the same thing happens if your defense gives up a couple of goals. Now you change your offense, and it messes with your game. So that keeps me down a little bit. But I think that defensively we are probably in a better shape than we have been since before the bubble. Right? We're steady. We have the guys we have. It's not a big change. Everybody's back. There's nobody new in the system. So I'm right there thinking that we're in a very good spot. By the way, Lindgren has let in 3 goals for the Maple Leafs. Right? Probably Lindgren, the guy that you guys wanted so bad, has given up 3 goals to the Maple Leafs today.
Hey, I will tell you this. I watched him in the preseason.
Yeah.
And like I said about him last year when he was with the Blues, his side-to-side movements while he's on his pads from post to post and getting up after saving a shot, he's not good enough to be a full-time backup in the NHL, and I think the Capitals are going to figure that out.
Well, this one hit him right in the glove, bounced out of his glove and in the net. Right?
Yep.
A great puck possession offense. If you can only go off the fly, you're no good on the D. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Right? And I'm actually there. Okay, the last one we're going to go with is coaching front office. Where are you at on that?
Well, Guy, up until last season, you and I were both hard on Berube, because he treats different players a different way. Some can make mistakes and he doesn't pull them. Others make mistakes and he doesn't do anything about it until he has to do something about it. I think, and I know for a fact in his meeting with Armstrong told him some things had to change. And as long as those things don't go back to what he was like before last year, and he lets those guys with offensive skill do well, I think he's going to have another good coaching. And with Armstrong, name me a better GM over the last 6 years than Doug Armstrong.
Yeah. I'm with you. Now, I've been very hard on Berube. I was not a Berube fan at all.
You mean Blueberry?
Blueberry, yeah. Called him Blueberry and that, but he did something last season that we wanted him to do, and he finally saw it work.
Yep.
And when COVID hit, he got forced to play young players. He got forced to play speed. And in those games in December when the Blues could have fell apart, they didn't. Walker, Brown, Costin a little bit, McCachran, Joshua, those guys, Kyrou, Thomas, those guys got out there and showed that speed works, that they can play with speed, that young guys can play. And then you have Tarasenko, who absolutely changed the dynamic of that team, right? And him standing up for Thomas and that there's Berube right now is a guy that should get Jack Campbell consideration, right?
I hope so.
And really, especially since a lot of people think this team's going to be at the bottom of the league or, missing the playoffs or bottom of the playoffs. If he does what I think he's going to do, he should get Jack Campbell stuff.
Well,
and
what?
Armstrong.
Considering what he did last year, Guy, this just shows the media bias. They had so many injuries and guys out with COVID that now they weren't affected as bad as some other teams, but he did it. That when he was with Philadelphia to his time with the Blues, last year was his best coaching job in his head coaching career.
I will agree with that. I will absolutely agree with that. I think that he in 19, I think he just didn't have to coach as much. I think he just kind of let guys, kind of told guys that this is what I want you to do it. And they did. Yep. He had those guys. Last year he had to coach, and he did, and it showed. It absolutely showed, and I think it showed in the preseason. Right? Logan Brown,
Yep.
prime example. The knock on Logan Brown was work ethic. Logan Brown went out this offseason and figured that out. And if he wasn't injured, I think he'd be a second line guy, or up there. He'd be on the third line or the first line, because that's the way he played. He played like he deserved to be there. And that's where I get it. Now with Armstrong. Armstrong has made bonehead moves, but every GM has. But he's made smart moves. He's made some very smart moves, and I think that he should get a lot more credit than what he does.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know what? When he makes a mistake, he normally fixes it in the next year or two, like with getting Shin. And when he makes that mistake, and like he signed Berglund into that contract and then realized, I probably shouldn't have done that. And Sobotka. He traded Berglund and Sobotka away, and got O'Reilly. And you and I both know there's positives and negatives to that trade. But you know what? When Craig McTavish was signed, if you remember, I loved it. And I told people he's only going to help the Blues. And people are like, well, he was terrible as a head coach in Edmonton. Guys, there's a lot of coaches that during that time in Edmonton would have been terrible in Edmonton. He's a very solid Stanley Cup winning assistant coach. He's gonna help these Blues out a lot.
Yeah, I see that too. His nephew or his son is down in who's it on? I think the Kings. Right? He's got a family member on the Kings right now, playing on the Kings. I can't remember the full name, but I do know that. I think Armstrong, the fact that he gets overlooked for GM of the year really surprises me some.
Yeah.
Right, because he's made good trades. He's dealt with things the right way. This team has had very little controversy since Armstrong's been here. However,
and do you know what the smartest move he's made so far? People will say Shin, people will say O'Reilly. Nope, that's not the smartest move. Smartest move he's ever made was not giving Pietrangelo what he wanted and letting him go. That is one of the smartest moves, and I know Blues fans might hate me, but that is one of the smartest moves Doug Armstrong has made.
Mine is not making a trade in the 18-19 season at the trade deadline.
Yep.
Right? But, everybody was blow it up, do this, do that, and he didn't do anything. And he told, and by not doing anything, he told that team, I trust you. Mm-hmm. And they went out there and played like they knew it. Right? They went out there and proved him right. That he trusted him, and they went out there and proved it. And that had a lot to do with it. But there is a negative hanging over this team right now. And I'd be remiss if I did not bring this up. Okay. I'd be absolutely remiss. And it is the Ian Cole situation. Right? Now, Ian Cole had a hearing today, or not a hearing, an interview. Let me rephrase, an interview today. I have not seen anything on social media about that. I haven't heard anything come out yet. However, this could have some far-reaching implications.
I don't blame him for that, because here's why. That's in the locker room, and Doug Armstrong is not in the locker room very much.
Okay.
And but the people I blame Ken Hitchcock for that, is who I blame for that.
Okay, well, hold on. You got to let me, you jumped on me there. There is something that came out, and I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this today, and it jumped on me. You look at Ian Cole; he's on his 7th team.
Yeah, I brought that up last night.
And okay, some guys move around the league a lot, but then this stuff comes out, and then I kept thinking about, and if you're Catholic, please forgive me, but I kept thinking about the Catholic sex scandal, right? Mm-hmm. And what was the biggest criticism of the Catholic Church?
When a priest did it, they moved him somewhere else. And this has all the elements of that. I never thought of it that way. That's an excellent point.
This has all the elements of that. And because of that, I'm very concerned that there are some GMs and some coaches in the league that This is going to be, I think this is going to be more far reaching than the Kyle Beach incident.
Oh, I think it will be too. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And all I want is the truth, whether it's proved that he did it or whether it's proved he didn't do it. That's all I want. I want a unbiased investigation. And if he did it, the league needs to do some things. Ian Cole needs to have some things happen to him, and the girl needs some help.
Yeah, I agree. And again, innocent until proven guilty.
Yep.
Innocent until proven guilty. Please understand that.
Yep.
He is innocent until proven guilty. Everything is alleged. Nothing has been proven. However, there's smoke. There is smoke. I read that letter a couple of times, right? And one thing I have gotten, and you've read my writing, okay? I can tell when someone is writing fact and when someone is exaggerating.
Yeah, me too. Yep.
Okay. In that letter, there was some things in there that felt very much like fact to me.
Yeah. And you know what? You know why I thought that way? She was very straightforward. You could tell she didn't take liberties with what she said. She didn't exaggerate anything.
Well,
she was straight.
But actually, there were parts in that letter that I did feel there was some exaggeration.
Okay, well, I really didn't, but we're both
the last paragraph was editorialized, and when
it was a little strange.
Editorialize,
yeah, it was a little strange.
Okay, when you editorialize, you're selling your narrative, not the facts.
Yeah,
and for me, I caught that. That is why I say there's smoke. It just depends on how big the fire is.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. And that's why, that's my only concern right now with this is that there are some GMs that could get censored, and there's some coaches that could get censored. Right. And the fact that he moved around so much concerns me.
Yeah. And it's like I brought out last night. Is he a great defenseman? No, but he's always been a good, solid defenseman, and good, solid defensemen aren't on 7 teams in 10 to 12 years of their career. They just aren't.
Yeah. Well, it just, again, you look at Zach Sanford and you go, and you can say, well, Zach Sanford's played with 4 teams in a year. Okay. I get that. But that to me, that's performance, and you can see the performance there.
Yeah.
Ian Cole
and Zach Sanford
isn't a performance thing.
Yeah, Zach Sanford was never considered a solid, good forward. Ian Cole has been considered a solid, good defenseman. Not great, but solid. And two totally different situations there. But man, I hope it's not true. I really do, for the girls' sake and for the NHL's sake, because it's not going to be good for either of them.
Well, for the girls' sake, if it's not true, that's not good for her, right? Because that's going to put a lot of negative light on her.
I hope it's not true. I really do.
I just Dallas is up 3-0 on the Preds. Way to go! Right. I'm keeping an eye. Tomorrow's game. There's one game tomorrow that I'm very, very interested in. I'm going to read the games off tomorrow, and I want to see if you can tell me which game you think I'm extremely interested in tomorrow. And it's probably not going to be the game you think. Oh, hold on. There are 4 games tomorrow. Here are the 4 games. Lightning at Blue Jackets. Canadians at Red Wings. Rangers at Jets. Hurricanes at Sharks.
None of those games really interest me. I'm going to watch
a game. Well, there's 2 games that interest me. First of all, the Blue Jackets game, because that's our opponent the next night.
Yeah, that's true.
The game that really interests me is the Red Wings game.
Red Wings. Yeah.
This is their season opener. This is Husso's first chance. He's playing the Canadians. They had a pretty decent game against Toronto. This is This is going to be, it's going to be an important game for him. And then the very next night they're facing the Devils. So they've got an easy opening in their schedule. So until the, 3 nights later on Monday, when he faces the Kings, what's he going to be?
Yep.
What's he going to be, and I think that, it's going to be really important to see this, because I think it will. Well, not only that, you have Perron too, but with Husso, I think if Husso comes out and isn't strong, it's going to help fans understand why Grice is here. Right? Well,
Yeah,
Lance. Oh, go ahead, bud.
I was just going to say, a lot of people, and I agree with you, every game's important. A lot of people I hear go, I'm a hockey fan, but I don't start watching it till March. Well, then you're not a hockey fan, because every single dang point counts.
You can't win a cup in October, but you can certainly lose one.
That's right.
Right? I remember 2016, 17-18, the Blues in the beginning of December were the number 1 team in the league. We're the top team in the league, missed the playoffs.
Yep.
Missed the playoffs. So, and that's, you got to play every game, and you got to play it smart. No, Jason, Cole will not play until this is settled. That's obvious.
No.
Right? That's obvious. But the thing, he is suspended with pay. I did find that out, and I think that was the right move.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
I think that's the right move. He's on the inactive list.
Yeah. I won't be on tomorrow night because I'll be on my flight.
Okay. All right. Well, tomorrow night, let's see if we get our buddy on here. I forget his name already. Josh. Let's see if Josh, I haven't seen him send me something yet, but maybe he will. I love it. Because look, I don't mind. He can be negative. I just can't see it right now. Yeah. Right. And I've told you, when I thought the Blues, I used to call Blues losses all the time on my show. Remember that?
Yep.
Right. People would get on me, but I would call it. And that's the way it goes. So let's see what happens. Hey, guys, great night. This is Guy to Hawaii Blues fan for Lance to Scott from the Drop, saying aloha mahalo, and I'll see you tomorrow night on the BlueNote Fan Report, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. Hello. There we go. We might get Josh tomorrow.
Good.
Right? We might get Josh tomorrow. I'm looking forward to this. Okay, guys, have a great night. See you tomorrow.